Hey everyone, what's up? It's Limits, and this is my first video of 2015, so I'm super excited. And this is the update of my Hunter Aggro deck, and now it is the GvG Hunter Aggro deck. As you guys know, Goblin vs. Gnomes came out shortly after I released my Hunter Aggro deck, and so this is just a update video. Regarding that deck and all of the changes that have been made to it. So if you haven't seen my last Hunter Aggro deck, you really don't need to watch that one because this one I'm going to explain just like you've never seen a Hunter Aggro deck before. So let's jump into it. GvG Hunter Aggro deck right here. You guys can pause the video and copy down the cards if you like. And then you can watch the rest of the video and how I explain it. So to start off, these are two new cards that have gone into the Hunter. Well, I guess I should explain how the Hunter Aggro deck works, so I'll do that first. The Hunter Aggro deck works around rushing your opponent and basically keeping board control the entire time until the very end. If you lose it so much, and then finishing off with your arrow or whatever. Basically, you can get your opponent down to half health by turn 4 with this deck. It requires no legendaries, though you can use legendaries in it, but it's not a must. There are swaps you can make of this. So I'm just going to go over the basics. Undertaker is the bread and butter of this deck. You have to have played Naxxramas. You have to unlock the Hunter Pacific card, which is the web spinner right here. And so you really need to complete Naxxramas to make the Hunter Aggro deck. And this deck is just really is amazing. So I highly recommend it. The last Hunter Aggro did really well in the last season, but in this season, it feels so much stronger. And I feel like this is like one of the top decks in my opinion right now, and it is my absolute favorite. So I can't wait to share this with you guys and hopefully increase your wins. So here's the Undertaker. This is a must. Clockwork Gnomes are going to proc the death rattle off the Undertaker, and as well as give you really good a board start with a 2/1. This deck revolves around very low cost minions and just basically nuking into your opponent's face with those low cost minions. I'm going to talk about some of the combos, which basically every one of your cards you basically want to have a death rattle on your minion. So let's go through the cards real quick. We got the Clockwork Gnome. We got 2 of those. Very important. We got the Leopard Gnome, very important. The death rattle on this alone is just good because it's a death rattle, and that's going to proc your Undertaker's bonus. The Undertaker can get very strong very quickly if your opponent does not take care of them. But then you deal 2 damage to the enemy hero, and believe me guys, you are going to win games by this 2 damage on your Leopard Gnome. So this is essentially, this is 4 damage to your opponent because most likely he's not going to clear it with a spell, and you're going to get the death rattle plus this, and that's too good in this deck. It's all about the rush. Plus, if you have Undertaker out, you're going to get the bonus. You got the web spinners, which are amazing because they have the death rattle, and you're going to get that random beast to your hand, which is very important. And then you got your explosive traps, which are amazing as well. That extra 2 damage, like I'm saying, to the hero, just by this, without even counting the board clear, is good alone. You got your freezing traps. These are basically going to delay your opponent putting anything big down on the board that you can't remove, such as a taunt or something that you don't want to have to go through, like a sludge butcher. These are your cards for those. They're great to have. You're gonna have your haunted creepers. These also count as beasts. Yet again, they have your death rattle, and these are really hard to remove from the board and just a lot of times not worth it. So that 1 damage is going to add up. You got your loot hoarders for your card regen, plus again, you got your death rattle, which is just too good. You got your mad scientists, which are, again, every single card seems to line up so well with this deck, which is why it's so strong right now. If you can kill this minion, if your opponent does not silence this minion, you're basically essentially getting 4 mana crystals out of using a 2 because you're getting either a freezing trap or explosive trap down, and you're also getting to play a minion down for only 2 mana crystals, so it's so good. You got your bow, you can use this to hit your opponent in the face or keep board control. Animal Companion, just a good around all card. Yeah, it's a little random, but it's good. These are also going to count as a beast, so you can use your kill commands. It's also important to note that your web spinners and your haunted creepers are beast, so you can use them. Now, the spectral spiders that the haunted creeper summons does not count as a beast, so just keep that in mind. But most likely you'll have a beast in your hand that you can use kill command with. I haven't run into a bad situation with that yet. Then I'm running a Harvest Golem. There's no really bonus of running a mech. I just like to run a Harvest Golem because they're hard removal, and they're gonna have the Death Rattle. This card is optional though. You can swap this around. There's no bonuses for running mechs, which most decks now are like, oh, if you run a mech, you get this bonus. The GvG Hunter does not worry about that so much. You got your Mech Yetis. Again, you're running these instead of the normal Yetis because they have the Death Rattle, and they're also giving spare parts. Yes, it does give your spare part to an enemy, but let me tell you, spare parts in the GvG Hunter Aggro are amazing. Cards such as Return a Minion to your hand, you can compare that with Animal Companion Boar, which has a charge, so you can use that with that. There's also one that lets you freeze, a spare part that lets you freeze an enemy. You can use that to slow down your opponent. Let's see, there's one that gives a minion a taunt. You can put a taunt on one of your web spinners or your leper gnomes to make sure your opponent can't hit your face. The spare parts in this deck are low cost mana crystals, which help you eat up some of the mana that you might not be spending when you get low on cards, because this deck does run low on cards, and towards the end you might feel like, oh, I want to keep playing. Make sure you get enough use out of all your mana crystals. So that's that for you. With those spare parts, they are extremely good. Again, the Clockwork Gnomes are a must in this deck. They really are a must. They're so good. Getting those spare parts to your hand and not your opponent as well. So, but definitely run the Mechanical AD as well. Loatheb, this card you have to complete something in Naxxramas. You have to complete. I can't remember what, it was so long ago, but this card is really good just because if you're in a winning state and you play this card, basically your opponent's not going to be able to clear your board. Flame Strikes can't be used, Blizzards can't be used because they'll cost 11. It makes it very hard for your opponent to remove anything from the board, or makes it not worth it, I should say. So this card is really good when you're in board control, which should be most of the time with this deck. So I do recommend using this card. Now, if you don't have it, it's not a big deal. You can run something else, I guess. But ideally, this is the ideal setup, what I have going right here. Lastly, Savannah, high main, Death Rattle, very hard removal, just a great finisher. Your opponent is not going to be running this many silences, and hopefully they'll silence something else like your Mad Scientist or something like that down the line. Then when you get to turn 6 and you play this Savannah Hunter or Hyena down, high main, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to. First of all, they're basically not going to want to clear this. And let me tell you, if you get a 6, if your Lion survives and you get a 6 to the face on your hero, on their hero, you've won basically. Because at this point they're already going to be at least at like 20 health by turn 6. So you will be in very, very good shape. And like I said, most of the silences will go towards your Undertakers, web spinners, and stuff like that early on. And right now people aren't used to running into this deck until this gets really popular. So this is the way to go until you start running into people start preparing their decks around this. But even then, there's so many death rattles you just can't keep up with it, which makes it so strong. And so lastly, I should say you're going to make extreme use of your hero power. Your hero power is situational, but you probably won't start using it until around after turn 6, I would say, depending on your hand. Obviously there are earlier Series you won't get the cards you want. You might have to use it even on turn 4 or 5 just to make sure you're using all those mana crystals. But every time you can, just make sure you're getting that extra 2 damage to their hero. And this deck works very nicely. The one deck this has a weakness to, it seems right now, is there's a really good Warlock out there. It's kind of like the Handlock, but it has the new Warlock legendaries in there, and it kind of makes the Warlock's hero immune. I don't know what the actual deck's name is, but I've run into that deck a couple times now, and this deck gives it a run for its money. But the problem is, it's just that you're going to have to, by that time, if you can't remove the minion that clears makes their hero immune, it just makes it extremely hard because you're not getting your hero power. It's basically wasted, and it's just, yeah, you gotta wait to get a minion out there to actually kill it, and by that time they can get a pretty big board leap on you. I have beat the deck, but I'm just saying that's its main weakness so far that I've seen as a deck would be that Warlock deck. As far as like Warlock aggro and stuff goes, this deck eats them up. This deck is just so quick and it's just so fast. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So instead of just talking about this, I might as well show you guys. So that's the deck, and then I'll do a quick preview video of how to play it. So as you guys can see here, these are all my decks though, real quick. Everything with an asterisk next to it, those are main decks that I keep and use. And my GvG is getting its asterisk right now because I love this deck and it is my new favorite. I'm actually going to probably just delete my old Hunter aggro because there's no point in using that no more. So yeah, let's just go ahead and, well, I'll keep it for something. I can show you a comparison video or something. I don't know. Alright. Let's Hunter. And the season just reset, so that's why I'm rank 18. I'm not really that bad. What's today? I think today is the 4th. So I haven't played any ranked. I got to rank 6 in last season, and again, I don't play rank. That was just doing quests and stuff with my asterisk decks. That's what I've gotten to. So I'd love to see what I could actually do, and hopefully go for legendary here coming up.
You asked for it.
Oh, this is really weird. I never play in full screen. Okay, so to start off, you definitely want to mulligan for, actually, well, I want to keep these two, but you really want an Undertaker. If you get an Undertaker in your first turn, that is just amazing. We did not, but that's okay. This is still not bad. The mage is going to have to keep up with using Fireball, basically to keep these guys under control. Maybe we'll draw Undertaker. We'll see. We're going second, and that's great too, especially if you have an Undertaker. Because you can play your Undertaker down for 1 mana crystal, and then you can play, say, a Leper Gnome or a Web Spinner, and you're automatically going to power up your Undertaker right away, which is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and coin just to get both out, just because I know he's going to use a Fire Blast, and we just kind of want to get him behind because we're going to Loot Hoarder next turn. Actually, we might Mad Scientist. We'll see. If he does Fire Blast us, we'll Loot Hoarder, but if he doesn't, we'll do something else. Okay, Annoyatrons. Those suck.
I'll show them. I'll show them.
Annoyatrons are not the ones. But as you guys can see, we already did 4 damage to him. He's already at 26, and that was my turn too, so. Annoyatrons are definitely good in a whole lot of other decks right now.
Online. For a little while, I pack a big punch.
Ooh, nice. So he has a little bit of a early moving deck too.
Fools!
So I feel pretty comfortable in the long run against him. So that's why I swapped there. Like I said, normally you want to go for the face, but
Powering up. Portals online.
so now we have a choice of an animal companion. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that.
To my time.
Okay, that was not the one we wanted to get.
I hunt alone.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to go ahead and blow my weapon. I wanted to keep that, but to get the proc off of the explosive trap. But I want to make him put out more minions before that explosive trap goes off. So, as you guys can see here, we're already kind of low on cards. Ooh, cool! We got him to blow a fire blast. That's good. Mechanical Yeti would throw some force out there, but
Mind if I roll need?
so in a rule of thumb, if you ever want to know about maximizing your mana, always go for the minions first and then use your steady shot towards the end, just to avoid any late game taunts or anything. So these Annoytrons have changed the game for him.
Bring out your dead.
Alright, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave my web spinner up, just because it's not a useful trade. That way he can't firebolt, he'll have to pick a firebolt, or he'll have to take those guys into there, so yeah, we're just gonna leave that guy up. Just because if he procs my explosive trap too, it's a waste of my web spinner if he wants to try to pop the explosive trap early. So we got a Loatheb, which is going to protect us from Flame Strike, Blizzard, or anything next turn. So as long as we can keep this Mechanical Yeti up through this turn and my Undertaker, we're in good shape. Ooh, and you had to pop an anti-Killbot early too. Alright, so he didn't pop either of those. But this is gonna work nicely because he's hoping to trade off that, I guess. We'll use this down to take my Undertaker up, and we'll also use it. Now the question is, I want to keep my Undertaker up. Well, he can't Flame Strike, so he can't really use any spells. So we just have complete board control, so we can keep up that Undertaker for sure. So that's why I'm going to make the trade-off right there, because we know that no spells are going to happen, besides like an Arcane Missile or anything, so. Spare part. Return a friendly minion to your hand. Awesome. So we can use Loatheb again or something like that if we feel the need to. And
The end is close.
we could return Loatheb and use him again. And I think that's what we're gonna do. Sweet, you get nothing. So we're going to protect the entire board again, basically. We're going to trade both of these. We're going to get to shoot the arrow and start with that. So we got a Stranglethorn Tiger with Stealth, which is a great get from a web spinner, because this is 5 attack straight to the hero no matter what, because it's going to be stealth. So that's awesome. Alright, we are going to ignore this, especially since we just got that. We're going to ignore that, and we are going to Stranglethorn and shoot. So at this point, it's game over. So as you guys can see, we just totally annihilated just by making a few choices, and we had that Loatheb twice, which gave us a huge long board control. Okay, so he's gonna prolong this a little bit here with the Sludge Butcher, but we have an explosive trap, so if he hits my hero, and then all I have to do is steady arrow at this point, unless he has another antique bot, which will again prolong the game, but it's not gonna change anything here. So what does he wanna? Okay, so goodbye to that. We're not going to be seeing that again this game. He only has 5 mana crystals. Ooh, he does have a secret though. So that secret is probably a duplicate for the butcher. But again, we really don't have to worry about that because we're ending it. So yeah, you can see how strong this deck is. Hopefully by that, that start we had wasn't even an ideal start. We didn't even have an Undertaker at the start, which if you get an Undertaker at the start, it's just like, oh yes, this is looking good. Like, it's just, that's how you want to start off, and you really want to get back a lot of your cards to get that guy. But I wanted the Leper Gnomes and stuff as well. So yeah, so yeah, that's the deck, guys. If you guys have questions, I know I got questions on my last Hunter Aggro deck, and I answered them in the comments. So if you guys have questions, please leave them, and I will answer them basically ASAP. I know some people left some comments, and I was seriously back them in like 2 hours of them dropping the comments. So I'm definitely even if I'm not posting a video every day, I'm on my YouTube, and I'm playing Hearthstone, so I'll see those messages and stuff. So definitely, if you guys have questions, ask in the comments below, and I shall try to answer them for you. That wraps it up. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.